Hello and welcome back to the Luminous Body podcast, Healing from Within. I'm your co-host, Dr. Hilary Conroy, and I'm joined by my husband, Dr. Jackson Waring. This podcast was created to share information about health and healing and to empower you with your healing journey. So, on with the show. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome everybody to our next episode of the Luminous Body podcast, Healing from Within. Today we're going to be covering the next 4 systems that are affected by chronic stress and high cortisol. We're going to go into the depths of these different systems and how they're affected by this powerful stress hormone. And by building this awareness around these systems, you get to really understand how your body is affected by chronic stress. And not just that, but becoming aware of the unique and individual systems that might be affected in your body by high cortisol. And by building that awareness, understanding the signs your body is giving you. And that will lead us into our next episode where we talk about how you can lower your cortisol and gain back homeostasis and regulation.
Help those systems do what they're supposed to do.
That's right. Essentially, if we work with cortisol and bring it down to a homeostatic level, these systems will stabilize. And I go off of that premise. I go as far to say that maybe some of the symptoms and stresses and things in your life that are difficult and aren't stabilizing is because cortisol is too high.
That's right. And what I would like you all to keep in the back of your mind as we talk about chronic stress and high cortisol is that it's not working against you. Your body's trying to help you.
Yeah.
And it's trying to push you towards survival. And so all of the fallout of chronic stress and high cortisol is due to the body trying its best to be able to run, to be able to fight, to keep you safe.
That's right.
So this is all to keep you safe. Even though you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, this doesn't feel safe.
I feel terrible. It's trying to be on your side. Your body has your back.
That's right.
We just need to work with it, listen to it.
That's
So
right.
What are we covering?
Okay, well, today we're going to be covering 4 new systems based off of what we covered last week. These systems being
Hormonal.
Yeah, hormonal, digestive, skin and muscle. Muscle and bone, and skin and hair.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Really, really important systems.
Yeah.
And although we're covering everything per system, most of these symptoms kind of leach into each other.
That's right.
So keep that in the back of your mind as well.
Yeah, as we go along, it's not cortisol doesn't raise and then just pick one system and affect that.
No.
Unfortunately, it does. These are the effects that cortisol has across the board.
That's right.
So oftentimes we'll be experiencing a symptom or a stressor or even an illness or condition based off the breakdown of many of these systems.
Correct.
Which can be hard to treat when you're not looking at the system from a holistic perspective.
That's right.
Because a holistic framework allows us to see beyond just cause and effect or trying to find the one thing. Understanding that the body works in this kind of interdependent way means that we're more likely to have effective results.
Correct.
We look at different systems and how they're breaking down.
That's right.
So let's
jump in.
A really common and I would say a critical system in the body that cortisol affects, which is the hormone system.
Yeah, that's right. And by hormone system, we're talking about reproductive hormones and we're talking about thyroid hormones.
That's right.
Yeah. And I don't know about you folks, but if you were in the most stressful situation in your life, I don't know how excited you'd be about having a newborn baby at the same time.
That's right. Yeah. So because cortisol is a stress hormone, and our stress system is geared for survival. Cortisol, essentially the way it works on these systems is it will shut down one system to perpetuate another. So
that's right.
Because cortisol is a stress hormone, obviously we want to perpetuate our stress system in responding to that stress, reacting to that stress, and then hopefully eventually finding homeostasis.
Yeah, which means, we're not going to prioritize reproducing.
That's right. So when there's stress or the body's perceiving stress, we're more likely to shunt our hormone, the energy and the resources that we pump into creating good reproductive hormones, we're going to shunt that over into creating lots more cortisol. And so what that means is we see people who are very stressed or under chronic stress and their reproductive hormones take a hit. And that can look like fertility issues, irregular cycles, so menstrual cycle, and it could also look like a drop in libido as well.
Correct. And that's because the nervous system, so in the brain, there's a part of the brain called the hypothalamus, and essentially the hypothalamus is the messenger between the nervous system and the hormonal system, and it's responsible for our hormones. Yeah, kind of just said that. So when we're really stressed, it gets a message from the nervous system and this elevated cortisol that it shouldn't tell the pituitary, which is another part of the stress system, to produce hormones that will trigger ovulation, that will trigger the development of sperm. And in doing so, we end up with hormonal problems.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And we see it quite a lot, hey, like from PCOS through to fertility problems through to irregular cycles, migraine even, you know.
Yeah, and ovulation.
Yeah, because the even though those reproductive hormones are being sort of down-regulated and not produced as much, it's not just, we'll turn it down for a bit and then turn it back up. Like those organs aren't working the way that they should be working. It's the hormones that turn those organs on and off and change their cycle. And so when we don't have those hormones coming through, those organs start to break down as well, and they can take on all sorts of different forms, really.
Well, that's right. The glands that produce human sex hormones don't have a brain of their own necessarily. They respond to stimulus.
Yeah.
And when that stimulus isn't there, they can't respond.
Yeah.
So they lie dormant.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so reproductive symptoms are a sign of high stress. And I mean, I guess what we see most commonly is people under high stress, their menstrual cycle stops essentially. And it is because that mind aspect, or the hypothalamus, you know, that's judging the stress, does just perceive that the environment you're in is too stressful or unsafe for you to have or prepare for offspring.
That's right. Yeah.
But I want to also touch on how high cortisol levels affect the thyroid hormones. Yeah. Is the thyroid, we touch on the thyroid here and there. What I love about the thyroid is it's like this bystander, but because it seems to be so vulnerable to almost everything that's going on around it. Like it's not protected from the bloodstream, so it gets affected by God knows what. Yeah. And then it gets mixed up in the stress system as well. Yeah. So you've got this like axis between your pituitary and your adrenals, and that's a stress axis. Yeah. But in the middle of it, like the thyroid's getting beaten about.
Yeah, well, the thyroid's trying to work out what to do. Yeah. Not only that, but your thyroid hormones are synthesized in your gut. Yeah. And so it's a really vulnerable gland, but it's also a really important gland.
So important. Yeah. And once it's gone a bit haywire, it's really obvious.
Well, I think first we need to understand what the thyroid does. Yeah. So the thyroid is responsible for things like your libido. It's responsible for good hair, skin, and nails, your metabolism, how your digestive system can absorb your nutrients, and your basal metabolic rate, how quickly you burn through your energy. It's linked to your moods and your brain development and how you can learn and your energy levels. Yeah. So your thyroid is a gland that when it is working how it should be feeling like you. Like you wake up in the morning and you feel motivated. Yeah. And you have a zest and you want to do whatever makes you feel nice. And it's not a chore. Yeah. You can think, today I'd like to go to the gym, and off you go. Yeah. But when your thyroid is not functioning like that, you become a bit of a shell of yourself.
Yeah, I noticed that. When people when their metabolism starts to slow down, we get this weird recomposition with thyroid and cortisol too. We get this like more weight around the midsection and smaller arms and things like that, and legs. You know, it's a funny redistribution. So people they stop recognizing themselves.
Totally.
Especially as like the brain fog and the lack of motivation starts to take over, or the depression like worsens. Yeah. And it can feel like difficult because unfortunately, in mainstream healthcare, it's not the first thing that people think about.
No.
If you come in with those symptoms, it's kind of like, oh, well, you're just complaining or you're just too stressed or you need to get more sleep. And it's like, well, none of those things can directly fix that thyroid that's suffering.
That's right. And by the way, 25% of people who are chronically stressed have a thyroid problem.
Yeah.
And not a thyroid problem that you can pick up on blood work.
True.
Which is that classic, we've all seen that meme. We go to the GP and we say, I feel like death. I don't feel like myself. I'm exhausted. I'm tired all the time. I've got no motivation. I'm putting on weight. And they're like, wow, let's run some bloods. And then they run some bloods and they come back and they're clinically fine.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, you're healthy.
Yeah. And you kind of just crawl out like, well, I don't feel healthy.
Yeah.
And that's an indication that whatever you're going through, whatever load your body is under, the stress that your body is under has taken its toll on your thyroid.
That's right.
And that can look a lot like.
Yeah, the thyroid's starting to break down on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not feeling like you.
That's it. Okay. Good stuff. So, yeah, get your thyroid checked.
Well,
consider the effects of cortisol on your
that's
thyroid.
right. Yeah. The effects are much more far-reaching than just feeling stressed.
Oh, well, I think that's the key. Like if you feel off, something's off. And, they can't find it in a blood test. That's okay.
Yeah.
Still off.
Still off.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not imagining. You're not imagining.
That's right. I think we could try and brush it aside and just think, oh, well, it's how I'm approaching life. It's how I'm reacting to
I'm
stress.
lazy.
It's like I should be this and I should be doing that. And it's like, no, there's something not quite right. And we see it a lot when the thyroid comes back online. People come back online.
It's like people can be unrecognizable from one week to the next.
Totally.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So I really encourage everyone to always ask why.
Yeah. And to
never ask why.
And to keep looking for answers.
Constant.
Because you're healthy and there's nothing wrong with you and it must just be blah. That's not enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah, that doesn't fit right.
Yeah.
Okay, so hormones are greatly impacted, and another system that is greatly impacted by high cortisol is the digestive system.
Yeah.
And I love talking about this because the digestive system has, there's a lot going on down there and so many things can impact it. And sometimes they can impact it in exactly the same ways. But if you've got a gut problem that's not fixing itself or has been a problem ongoing and you haven't considered chronic stress.
Or you've tried lots of different things and you still can't make a dent.
That's right. Well, it might be time to look at what cortisol is doing to your gut. And so cortisol is a stress hormone. When we're under stress, we don't need to digest. We don't need to pull blood in the center around our organs. We don't need to clean, detox, or anything like that. We just need to run or fight or freeze. So all of our resources go into the extremities of our body and even into our brain so that we can think fast, act fast, run fast, all that kind of stuff.
Strong muscles.
That's right. Yeah. So the digestive system should be left behind at that point.
Temporarily.
Yes, temporarily is the key. The only reason cortisol is ever an issue is because of ongoing chronic stress.
That's right.
Because our body has not evolved at all to deal with chronic relentless stress. So that's the key, is that these are normal things that happen for a short period of time and don't make a difference. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about something that's normal that's happened and it's gotten stuck like that. And over time, the systems have broken down.
They've broken down.
So the main way it affects the digestive system is that it slows down the gut. So the gut stops moving.
Yeah.
It also prevents you from secreting enzymes and acids and other factors that you need to break food down. And because you don't have enough blood in that area either, you can't absorb the nutrients even if they're there.
Yeah.
So we see people that are chronically constipated with intermittent periods of diarrhea, and we see people that are bloated. If they eat or not, it doesn't matter.
Because your food just sits there and ferments.
That's right.
It can't go anywhere.
Yeah. If it's not been digested, not been massaged, not been constantly moved and squeezed, then it will sit there and, we all know what happens to, that half a cup of tea that you left on the windowsill.
Oh,
it becomes stagnant. Things grow on it. it ferments.
Yeah.
And that's what blows up, and that's what builds the bloating as well.
Yeah, and your digestive system is essentially a long tube from your mouth to your anus. It's in contact with the outside world. It's like it's a vulnerable place to be if it's not working how it should work, because it leaves you exposed.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so if you've got any opportunistic bacteria hanging around like strep, or even if you've got some fungus hanging around like candida, like they'll just overgrow.
That's right.
And they end up with a gut dysbiosis. But the other thing about that I find really interesting is, the whole digestive system is sealed off from the rest of the body by these very important tight junctions in the bowel wall. But cortisol can loosen those tight junctions and make the bowel wall more permeable, which means that things that are in your gut that aren't supposed to are only supposed to be in your gut, they can start to leak out of the gut.
Yeah, they bypass the filtration system. They bypass your immune system.
Yeah, that's right. Big time. And then we start to see these proteins and enzymes and bacteria and all sorts of things getting into the bloodstream and then circulating the body and affecting other areas. So that effect on the permeability of the gut is also an indication that we need to consider stress as part of a digestive problem or part of a gut issue or anything like that.
100%.
Yeah, we know that in chronically stressed people, 40% of them have a leaky gut. And we also understand that leaky gut, it creates this platform for autoimmune disease, immune system imbalance, other gut issues, but also brain, like cognitive decline, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And food intolerances.
Oh, yes.
You can go from never having had a food intolerance in your life to coming out the other end of a chronic stress period with dairy intolerance, like me.
Yeah.
I went through a period of real immense stress and I was so sick and I couldn't work it out. And then we realized that I was dairy intolerant, and I'd never had a problem.
Like properly lactose intolerant. So that chronic stress switched on the genes for you to have a chronic lactose intolerance.
When I tell you the devastation.
Really dramatic. Like you couldn't smell dairy.
I couldn't have a speck of it in come near my mouth without having symptoms. I think I'm like ever so slightly less sensitive now. I can have some butter and some maybe some sheep's feta, but for a long time, my gut was wrecked.
Yeah. That was a really intense time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our digestive system and how it's affected by cortisol. Let's move on to how cortisol affects muscle and bone.
Yeah, this is cool.
Our musculoskeletal system.
Musculoskeletal. And I think this is interesting as well because like we were saying, you know, when you go into survival mode, your resources are shunted towards your skeletal system and your muscular system. But over time, because your cortisol demands glucose, it demands glucose for you to survive. But eventually what ends up happening is it starts to gather glucose from your muscles.
Yeah. So it breaks down protein to create glucose, and the best place to get protein from is our muscle reserves.
The guns.
That's right, the guns.
The guns. And what that leads to is a decrease in about 15% of your muscle mass.
That's right.
Which if you're going to the gym and you're smashing yourself and you're already really stressed, you're not going to make those gains.
Well, it's that, but it's also like the hormones that do that. To break protein down, you have to soften it. And you have to soften the tendons and ligaments they're attached to. And so I would say, apart from the aging aspect of that, I would say the more common sign that cortisol has been affecting people's musculoskeletal system is that you're much more likely to get injury.
That's so true. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Tendinitis, repetitive strain injury, muscle tears, calf tears,
neck
Achilles
pain,
tendon.
Especially
Achilles. I don't know. We're not exactly sure why, but the Achilles is particularly vulnerable to cortisol. And so we see that a lot. And then not just this, but these injuries don't heal very fast or at all.
No.
And so people can have surgery to reattach tendons. They can have all the physio to get the muscle, stitched back up together. But often I'll see people and it's always a niggle. So they go for a run and it affects them or, it doesn't fully heal.
Yep.
And so I think the real effect, if we can really appreciate that cortisol makes our muscles and tendons really soft you know,
Yeah.
and they're just not as contractile. They don't have that strength.
And like Jackson was saying, it impacts your wound healing. I remember having this like light bulb moment. I don't know if I've already said it at uni. And it was like health and illness or something. And they did this enormous study where they wanted to see what impacted wound healing the most. And across all these participants, they punctured the skin. And then they recorded all of the variables. And a variable is like something that's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And that can be like your socioeconomic status. That can be your health status. So have you got cardiovascular disease? Do you have diabetes? Like what's going on with your health? And, you know, obviously age, gender, etc. And the only thing that this study found that consistently slowed wound healing, so how quickly that wound was able to close over and disappear, was chronic stress.
Ah, there you go.
And that's mind-boggling. So, yeah, you're much more prone to injuries and not recovering.
Yeah, that's right. Much more prone to injuries becoming chronic injuries, just like the chronic stress.
Exactly.
It's like a mark from it, you know. And that's the other thing. Like I think we can probably put the same analogy on the bones too.
Yeah.
Because cortisol stops us from absorbing calcium through our guts, the body then perceives that it needs more calcium. And so we need to get calcium from our main reserve, which is our bones.
That's right.
And so cortisol will activate a cell or a type of cell in the bone called an osteoclast that actually breaks down bone and releases the calcium into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
So that's ingenious to me.
Well, the reason we need that calcium is because calcium and magnesium act together for muscle contraction.
Yeah.
And we've got this really important muscle in the body called the heart.
Yes.
That is reliant on these minerals.
Well, it's completely reliant on calcium.
Yes.
We don't have the heartbeat that we see on those heart monitors is regulated by calcium, by how much calcium is let into the muscles at what time. Because calcium creates longer, slower contractions in the heart muscle, whereas in the skeletal muscle, it's short and sharp. But anyway, the main problem is that, in that survival mode, we need lots of calcium. And so we get it from the bones, which is fine if the stressor goes away or you address your chronic stress, or, you know, you can reach that homeostasis again where you actually rebuild bone. You don't actually take away from it.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about chronic stress over a long period of time, and it weakens bones. So that means your chance of having osteopenia or osteoporosis is much higher.
3 to 5 times higher.
3 to 5 times higher. There you go. And, you know, things like avulsion fractures,
stress fractures,
they all, and it doesn't matter how much dairy you drink. We will get that myth at some point, how much calcium you have going on in your body that you perceive that you're drinking. Once that cortisol floods, it weakens bones, and then you're more likely to be prone to injury. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And that's the story of the bones.
That's the story of the bones, which leads us to our final system that cortisol affects, which is the skin and hair.
Yeah. And the primary way that that cortisol directly affects skin and hair is through the breakdown of collagen.
Yeah.
Or the 30% decrease in production of collagen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite dramatic.
It's astronomical.
Yeah, which I would lose, like, apart from, because this is a wound healing thing too, which is probably more important.
Yeah.
Like, so you can't heal skin-based wounds very well, bruises and things like that, if you don't produce enough collagen.
Yeah.
Under lots of cortisol. But I would just say that this is like us being able to say that stress causes a 30% increase in aging.
Well, yeah, stress creates that weathered look, and that weathered look is not having collagen.
And there's no elasticity in your skin, so it sort of starts to fold. You know, it's sort of without all that collagen to like plump it up, blow it out, it sort of shrivels down a bit.
That's exactly what it does.
Yeah. I also find people with high cortisol, they have a bit of a grey look, or a pale look about them too.
Yeah, I reckon that's thyroid. That like
I think that's
that
thyroid
grey,
too. Yeah.
Lifeless, listlessness.
Listlessness, that's it.
Yeah. But with hair, so the way cortisol impacts your hair is it puts it into this like the hair follicle into a dormitory state.
Yeah. Yeah, because the hair follicles have they've got different phases, don't they?
Yeah.
They have growth and shedding and things like that. But cortisol will put the hair follicle into a sleep state. into a rest state. So the follicle doesn't actually grow a hair or maintain the hair that's there.
Yeah.
So very commonly you'll see thinning or shedding of the hair. And I think it's pretty high. It's like 30% of people are affected by this particular aspect, like this system breaking down.
That's right.
And I've, after all the surgeries I had over the last 18 months, my after the third op, my hair was it thinned dramaticely.
So did mine.
Yeah, did too. That's right.
I had this like wild mane of
you got
glorious
thick
hair.
Usually,
I had heaps of it. By the end of the third surgery, I just had this scraggly little bunch.
And I remember it just really got really thin. I mean, it's definitely thickened up since.
Yeah, it has, but
thankfully, we've managed to process a lot of that stress. It doesn't live in us as much now, but I'm still waiting for mine to really I thought maybe I'll just grow it to hide it for a bit.
Yeah. No, you're doing well.
But yeah, definitely cortisol. And cortisol really thins like the top of the head too.
Yes.
These front bit and the top, it really gets it there.
And the same as, like, you see the same thing with an underactive thyroid.
True.
And so when you have that thinning hair, these are all things to look out for.
Yeah.
And you might think, hey, I'm cruising through. But
well, that's right. I mean, this is the thing. Like when cortisol's high, obviously it has a survival impact on all these systems that we would normally really need for growth and development and for being, healthy and thriving. So we naturally see a change in those systems. And I think what's really important is that, like I said earlier, cortisol doesn't affect just one system. It affects all the systems in different ways.
Yeah.
And depending on the resilience of those systems or your own true resilience and how well you're working through your chronic stress, you will have an impact on those, whether that's bloating or constipation, whether that's fatigue and depression, or whether that is this, grayish, listless look or whatever's going on, losing your libido, really tired, all the things.
Can't conceive. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we would be kind of silly not to evaluate or have cortisol levels and chronic stress as part of the work up there.
I would even say prioritize.
I would, I mean, if it's coming in at 30%, 40%, 3 to 5 times higher, you're looking at a major contributor to your condition. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was great. So like we said earlier, we hope you've gleaned some awareness from this session. In our next session, we will be covering ways in which to release stress, to really truly emotionally heal so that these chronic stresses start to free up from the body and our cortisol levels regulate and we begin to heal.
Damn on.
Sounds good.
Damn on.
Damn on.
That's not even a saying, but yeah. Get it. Thanks, guys. You're the best. Ignore that.
Well, thank you for listening and catch you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you're feeling inspired, please leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. Did this episode resonate with you? Tell us all about it by reaching out to us on our socials. Or if you know someone who might benefit from hearing about this podcast, please share it with them. Like this, subscribe to us, and until next time, happy healing.